released in 1956, Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments was not just a movie. It was a global event, a cinematic pilgrimage that brought one of history's most sacred stories to life on a scale never before seen. It was a saga of faith, freedom, and the power of human will against seemingly insurmountable challenges, all marked by earth-shattering miracles that left audiences of the era breathless and in absolute awe. But what if I told you that behind that majestic, Technicolor exterior, the making of the film was its own epic tale, filled with real-life dangers, secret artistic choices, and personal sacrifices that rivaled the drama on screen? What if I told you that the director had a serious health scare on set? That a future music legend was hiding in plain sight as an extra? And that a single scene contained a chilling, hidden detail that unsettled audiences for years? Tonight, we are parting the Red Sea of Hollywood history to uncover the strange and shocking truths behind the Ten Commandments. This is a countdown of the 15 most fascinating secrets of the masterpiece that turned the story of Moses into an immortal silver screen legend. Let's begin. Ancient Egyptian props had a bizarre and unexpected afterlife in Star Trek. The hundreds of ornate, beautifully crafted silver goblets, intricately carved wine jars, and lavish golden censers that adorned Pharaoh's palace in the film didn't vanish after production ended. They were carefully stored in Paramount's vast prop warehouse, lying dormant for decades. But in a strange twist of cinematic fate, those ancient Egyptian items reappeared in a completely different universe. The 24th century cosmos of Star Trek, The Next Generation, in the 1990s. Eagle-eyed fans noticed that in various episodes, alien ambassadors and Starfleet officers could be seen drinking from the very same distinctive goblets that were once used in the courts of ancient Egypt on film. It was a bizarre and unintentional extension of cinematic history, creating an invisible thread that linked the sacred stories of the Bible to the far-flung futures of outer space. Moses' robe was accidentally and miraculously accurate for his iconic portrayal of Moses. Charlton Heston wore a striking red, black, and white striped robe. The costume designers chose the pattern simply for its powerful visual appeal on the vibrant Technicolor film. However, years after the film's release, religious scholars and archaeologists were stunned to realize that this was an incredible coincidence. Those exact colors, red, black, and white, were the true ceremonial colors of the ancient Levite priests, the very tribe to which Moses, according to the Bible, actually belonged. No one on the film crew was aware of this deep historical detail. It was a complete accident, but one that made audiences feel they were watching an authentic historical figure, blurring the line between a Hollywood creation and an ancient myth. A biblical plague was filmed, then buried forever for being too funny to recreate the 10 plagues of Egypt. Director Cecil B. DeMille spared no expense or detail. He even staged a massive, elaborate sequence for the Plague of Frogs. The crew released hundreds of live frogs onto the palace set, where they crawled over the throne and hopped chaotically across the stone floors. The scene took weeks to prepare and film, but when the scene was shown to test audiences, they didn't react with fear. They roared with laughter. They found the frogs clumsy hopping, and the actors' strained attempts to look horrified to be unintentionally comical. DeMille was stunned. A sacred plague had been turned into a farce. With no other choice, he cut the entire expensive scene from the final film, leaving it lost forever. The mysterious white figure in the Egyptian desert. While filming the massive Exodus scenes in the scorching Egyptian desert, a strange and inexplicable event occurred that left the crew unsettled. Amidst the sea of thousands of extras in heavy costumes, several crew members swore they saw a mysterious, white-robed figure standing silently on a distant sand dune, observing the production. The figure stood motionless for some time, then, according to the witnesses, vanished before their very eyes. as if it had never been there. Rumors spread quickly through the massive production. Some crew members dismissed it as a heat-induced mirage. Others believed it was a spiritual guardian from the desert, sent to watch over the retelling of the sacred story. Though never proven, the event sowed a vague, eerie chill over the set. The terrifying hailstorm, Plague, was actually made of popcorn audiences in 1956 sat stunned in theaters as the hailstorm plague struck the on-screen Egypt. The sky blackened, thunder roared, and massive white chunks fell from the sky, blanketing Pharaoh's palace. Viewers believed they were witnessing a powerful cinematic miracle. The truth behind the scene, however, was far more mundane. To create a grand disaster while keeping the actors safe, the technical team came up with an ingenious and cheap solution. All of those hailstones were actually popcorn, painted white. The light, harmless grains could be dropped from above without causing any injury, and the crew could simply sweep them up and reuse them for the next take. Combined with dramatic lighting and thunderous sound effects, a familiar movie snack was transformed into a powerful on-screen event. A future music legend was an uncredited drummer in the festival scene, in the massive and energetic Golden Calf Festival scene, amidst the hundreds of extras dancing. A 21-year-old sat in a corner of the set, beating a drum to the rhythm. The camera barely grazed his back, and no credit recorded his name. Yet, that anonymous young man was Herb Alpert, who would later go on to become a global music legend with his band, the Tijuana Brass. From this fleeting, uncredited moment as an extra, Alpert would step into the music world, becoming a Grammy-winning trumpeter and record executive who would create a vibrant new chapter in American culture. It's a fascinating footnote in history. A film that created cinematic wonders also quietly planted the seeds for a legend in a completely different field. The voice of God was actually Charlton Heston. In the pivotal scene, where Moses kneels before the burning bush, audiences hear the voice of God, resonant, warm, and divine. Everyone assumed it was the voice of a different, uncredited actor, chosen to embody the powerful voice. But the shocking truth is that the voice of God was performed by Charlton Heston himself. To create the otherworldly effect, the sound technicians recorded Heston's lines, then significantly lowered the pitch and added a heavy, reverberating echo. This made it sound like Moses was hearing and conversing with his own soul, or a deeper, more powerful, and divine version of himself. It was a bold and brilliant creative choice that turned what could have been a simple conversation into a profound and mystical spiritual experience for the audience. The Egyptian princess's look sparked a Hollywood controversy. When Anne Baxter appeared on screen as the Egyptian princess, Nefertiri, her look caused a sensation. With her powerful screen presence and regal demeanor, she was the perfect symbol of worldly temptation and power. For director Cecil B. DeMille, she was the ideal choice, alluring and commanding. But for many conservative groups in the 1950s, her portrayal was seen as a point of contention. They argued that Baxter's glamorous style and confident smile made the character too worldly, feeling it distracted from the sacredness of the Exodus story. The controversy swept through Hollywood. Some praised Nefertiri as a new icon of a strong female character, while others called for boycotts. That very divide inadvertently made the film even more famous and talked about. The promotional stone tablets sparked a real legal debate. In one of the strangest marketing campaigns in film history, the studio erected over 4,000 large, granite monuments of the Ten Commandments in public parks and squares all across America. For DeMille, it was a statement that these moral codes were the foundation of law. But these promotional stones became the spark for a fierce legal debate that lasted for half a century. Certain groups argued that the monuments on public land were in conflict with constitutional principles regarding public displays. In 2005, one such tablet in Texas was the subject of a major court case. The court ultimately ruled that this particular tablet could stay, not for its purely thematic value, but for its historical and cultural significance. A simple film promotion campaign had unintentionally etched its name into American legal history. The film's darkest scene inspired a legendary metal song. In 1983, the members of a young metal band named Metallica were watching an old VHS of the Ten Commandments as the chilling scene of the final plague played, with the eerie green mist crawling slowly across the Egyptian floors. Bassist Cliff Burton suddenly blurted out, "It's like creeping death." That single phrase was like a lightning strike. James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich instantly saw it as the seed for a new song. From that spontaneous moment of cinematic inspiration, the legendary thrash metal anthem, Creeping Death, was born. The song retells the story of the biblical plagues from a powerful perspective. A classic 1956 film had unwittingly planted the seed for one of the most iconic metal songs of all time. Hollywood darling Audrey Hepburn was not cast for the role. When the legendary director Cecil B. DeMille was searching for the perfect actress to play the powerful and regal Princess Nefertiti, the name of the elegant and beloved Audrey Hepburn was at the very top of the list. According to Hollywood lore, Hepburn walked into the audition with her signature grace and a gentle smile that captivated the room. But in his private casting notebook, DeMille made a cold and decisive note. The director ultimately felt her look did not align with the specific, traditional vision he had for the royal character. The role ultimately went to Anne Baxter, who had the classic look that the director wanted. A simple difference in casting preference meant one of Hollywood's greatest icons did not get a role in one of its biggest epics. A live cobra caused a commotion on set for the dramatic scene where Moses' staff transforms into a snake. DeMille insisted on using a real live cobra to capture a sense of authenticity. At first, during rehearsals, the snake performed perfectly, slithering menacingly across the sand under the hot studio lights. But suddenly, during a take, the cobra unexpectedly moved from its mark. It darted with startling speed towards the camera crew, causing a brief delay in filming. The set was thrown into disarray as handlers safely retrieved the animal. The incident was a reminder of the challenges of working with live animals on a major motion picture production. The chilling secret of the final plague scene, the scene of the green mist slowly crawling across the Egyptian floors, is one of the most haunting in the film. It creates a creeping sense of unease that many viewers could never quite explain. But hidden in that fog, DeMille and his technical team embedded a brief, almost imperceptible image. The image was designed to create a feeling of dread in the audience on a subconscious level, adding to the scene's chilling atmosphere without them knowing exactly why. Audiences felt a sense of heaviness in the scene because they were unknowingly reacting to a secret and unsettling image hidden within the frame. The baby Moses, floating on the Nile, was Charlton Heston's real son. The iconic and heartwarming scene of the baby Moses floating in a basket on the Nile River carries a secret that makes it even more powerful. That innocent, vulnerable baby was Fraser Clark Heston, Charlton Heston's own 3-month-old son. Of course, the scene was filmed with extreme care and extensive safety measures in place to protect the infant at all times. But for the film's star, Charlton Heston, it was a deeply personal moment. He would cradle his son after each take, his eyes filled with a mixture of paternal pride and deep emotion. That incredibly personal casting choice became one of the film's most humane and unforgettable touches. The director had a serious health issue. On set while filming the massive Exodus scene in the Egyptian desert in 1955, the legendary director Cecil B. DeMille, then 73 years old, stood high above the action on a 130-foot, 40-meter platform, giving orders through a megaphone. In that moment of absolute authority, he experienced a sudden health issue and lost his balance. The crew rushed to his side. He was taken to a doctor who advised him to take a long period of rest. But DeMille determined to finish his masterpiece, famously expressed that his commitment to the film was paramount. True to his word, just 2 days later, the aging but indomitable director was back on set. His voice, though weaker, once again guiding the production, a commander who refused to be defeated. The Ten Commandments is a cinematic masterpiece that transcended time, becoming an immortal icon of the Hollywood epic. But as these secrets reveal, the film's creation was an epic in itself, filled with its own challenges, miracles, and a director whose ambition and faith were as unshakable as Moses's. From a serious health scare and on-set challenges to ingenious special effects and strange coincidences, every single frame of this monumental film is imbued with a palpable sense of grandeur and real-world, high-stakes drama. More than half a century later, the work still leaves global audiences marveling, not just at the sacred and powerful story it tells, but at the monumental human effort, the obsessive passion, and the sheer, unyielding force of will that were required to bring this miracle to life.